Okay, so I have my ingredients all measured out for the white pan bread. I have my flour, my water, my dry milk powder, my butter, sugar, yeast, and salt. Any questions about the ingredients? I was always curious about the dry milk powder. Apparently, yeast love the sugar in milk. So that's why the dry milk powder. And with regard to the butter, please make sure that your butter is room temperature. You can actually smash it with your fingers, comme ça, like this. If it is too cold, it won't go into the dough properly, and you'll be sad. Okay, so I have all of my ingredients. I'm ready to mix. I have my mixing bowl and my dough hook. My mixer's back here. I'm going to dissolve my milk powder into my water. I'm going to add the sugar, yeast, and salt to my flour. It's bread flour, by the way, I didn't mention before. I will add the butter after the dough has begun to mix. The method we are using here is the straight dough method. All of the ingredients go together in the mixing bowl and they mix. Nothing fancy. They suggest, and these are guidelines, remember, 4 to 5 minutes at first speed and about 10 to 12 minutes at second speed. I feel like 10 to 12 minutes is a very long time at second speed, so we will be sure to use the window pane test to have the gluten tell us when it's ready. Just keep in mind that these are guidelines, they are not law. And I'm leaving the butter till later. After the dough has started to come together, that's when I add the butter. Line up the little cones with the little ears on the side of the mixing bowl. Make sure you push on the back of the bowl. Listen for the satisfying snap. Then attach your dough hook. Little slot goes to the tab, uppy, and turn. Make sure it's on there good and solid before you start your mixer. Okay, so we are at the end of the first 4 minutes of mixing. It's cleaning up the bowl nicely. I think it's time to add the butter. So you can see why you want to have the butter at room temperature, otherwise it won't smush into the dough. Okay, so to do the window pane test, cut a little piece of dough off of the dough in the bowl, make a little ball, and pretend you were stretching bubble gum like when you learned how to blow bubbles when you were a kid. You want it to be able to stretch and not tear. We are tearing. We are not ready. So we will mix for another, let's say 3 to 5 minutes just to see what's next. And again, we're going to do the window pane test. The reason we cut a piece of dough off is because you don't want to tear the gluten strands. It does make it awkward, I'll grant. Do your best to cut rather than tear. Kind of roll it between your hands and stretch. Let's see where we are now. It feels a lot better. It feels stronger. It feels smoother. All right. I am not tearing. I think I have a window pane. I can just about see light through it, and it's not tearing. That's what I'm looking for. So that was 5 + 3 minutes, so that's only 8 minutes at second speed on my mixer. Your results may vary. Let's also take the temperature of the dough. How warm are we? Ideal temperature is somewhere around 75 degrees, and we're sitting at 77. It's a little warmer than I'd like, but it's also a warm day. That will affect how quickly the yeast will reproduce, and so you'll need to watch your proof time. That's about it. Now it is time to move the dough to a bowl to proof. So I have my dough that I've mixed. I've taken the hook off of the dough. I'm going to put the dough onto my work surface, but first I'm going to put down a little bit of bench flour. Just a little, not a lot. Just enough to sort of have little ball bearings on the surface. You can use a card to scrape, or sometimes you can just use your hands. Out onto the work surface. I'm going to gently form it into a ball. I'm going to make each little corner come towards the middle, towards the middle, towards the middle. Turn that seam over, and I'm going to round it. I'm kind of pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling. I'm using the counter to help make the surface of this dough taut, nice and tight on top. That forms a nice little balloon for the gases to be trapped inside the dough as it ferments. So this will be the first fermentation. If you have too much flour down, it doesn't stick enough to your counter. You need just a little bit of stick. Not too much, not too little, but it's a very smooth dough to begin with. Seam goes on the bottom into your mixing bowl, seam side down. We will cover it with plastic. We will write our name, the type of bread it is, and the time it went into the proofing bin. So you can see our dough has basically doubled in volume during that 30-minute proof time. Now it's time to divide the dough and pre-shape it. Just to give you an idea of the shaping process, I'm going to use 3 of these little teeny tiny loaf pans. The loaf pans we have at school are probably bigger, but this gives you the idea. So now I'm going to take each one of these and turn it into a ball and let it rest on the bench. Same as before, I'm going to grab a corner of the dough, bring it to the middle, to the middle, to the middle, to the middle, to the middle. Keep going until you have a little round ball. Flip that seam over and round the dough using the friction of the countertop to help make the surface of the dough nice and taut. Just like a little baby's butt. Same thing, corner, 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 corner. Looks round to me, flip it over. Nice and tight. That one rest. So in the order of shaping, that's first, second, third. That's how I'm going to work with these later on. Cover with plastic and let it rest on the bench for maybe 15 minutes. While you are waiting for your dough to proof, I used a towel here instead of my plastic because the plastic was a little short. While you're waiting for your dough to proof or to rest on the bench, it's time to prepare your pans. Here I have some pan spray. I'm just going to spray the inside of each pan lightly. You can also use butter, shortening, whatever you like. Pan spray is just easy. Okay, so our little balls of dough have been proofing or resting for a good 15 minutes, and you can see they've expanded a little bit. Now it's time to shape them into something that is more loaf-shaped. And we'll shape in the order that we rolled them out before. Tiny bit of bench flour, not much at all. I'm going to take this beautiful top side and turn it over this way. So that seam side is up. I'm going to gently flatten. I'm not going to really beat on this. I want to keep some of those lovely gases inside the dough. You can see them kind of pop out in little bubbles on the side. So now I'm going to make a little cylinder shape to go into the little pan. So I'm basically just going to roll it once and twice and thrice. I'm going to use the butt of my hand here to help seal that seam. And maybe some bubbles will squeak, that's okay. Then I'm going to put that seam side in the bottom of the pan. Might not be my prettiest loaf, but we've got 2 more shots to get it right? So that's loaf number 1. Excuse me. Pretty side that is currently up goes down. Might as well keep that ugly seam on the bottom and use that lovely stretch that we have to make the top part of the dough. Pinch, pinch. I like little squeaks it makes. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Make sure that seam is nice and sealed and that it goes in the bottom of the pan. Cover and let rest for maybe, again, 10 or 15 minutes. So it's been about 25 minutes, and as you can see, the loaves are nicely proofed. At this point, I will take these loaves, I will put them on that sheet tray, and I will take them to an oven that is 400 degrees. How long should we bake these breads? Let's check them in about 15 minutes. The real answer is you bake them until they are done. And done is usually an interior temperature of between 200 and 207 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll check that when we think they're ready. So these look pretty well done to me, but let's do a temperature check to be sure. I like to go into the side of the loaf, so I only ruin 1 slice. And look at that, we are at 167. That is not enough. You can't see it, but I can. So 170. Let's bake them some more. Okay, so this is about 8 minutes later. There we go. Ooh, 207, 208. We are done. So let those breads cool on a rack for maybe about 5 minutes in the pans. After about 5 minutes, you can take the breads out of the pans. Don't cut into them yet though. Let them cool quite a bit before you try to cut into them and eat them. Delicious as it is, the starches need time to gelatinize and form structure. The bread's not quite done baking yet. Be patient. If you're lucky, the breads will pop right out of the pan, like that. And that's how you make white pan bread. Super easy.